Let's take a look at a couple of models where we're multiplying fractions using this area model. So here we have a flower bed in the shape of a rectangle. It measures 2/3 of a yard by 7/8 of a yard. Find the area of the garden. Well, 2/3 and 7/8, those are both less than 1 yard. So we have our square here, 1 yard by 1 yard. What we're going to do is represent these two fractions, kind of like the length and the width of an area. So I'm going to start up here on top and I'm going to label this as 2/3. That's the side that's going to represent my 2/3 of a yard. What I'm going to do is working vertically, I'm going to draw lines to divide this square up into thirds. I'm just going to make my best estimation there that we're dividing up into thirds. I am going to shade two of them. So what I think I'll do to shade, I'm just going to do lines to show my shading. All right, that's 2/3 of the shape shaded. Now here's where it can be a little bit tricky. The next step is to show 7/8 of a yard along my other side. So this time what I'm going to do is working horizontally. I'm going to divide into 8 equal pieces and then shade 7 of those. So this says use a different color or pattern so that we can tell the difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start drawing my lines to divide this up into 8 equal parts. So there's 4 equal parts, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. Now I am going to shade 7 of those eighths. I'm going to do my best just to ignore the original lines that I drew for the 2/3, just to try to only focus in on my 7/8. So I think I will do wavy lines to represent my 7/8. 6, 7. All right. So now the space where they overlap, the space where the waves and the diagonal lines overlap is my area. I can even erase the extra patterns here if I didn't want to see everything else. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to darken these lines to show this area inside my dark box is the answer to 2/3 times 7/8. So the area of that flower bed, let me count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 shaded pieces out of how many are here all together? Well, this was 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 14 24ths. So if you like to use the algorithm instead, 7/8 times 2/3, you're still going to end up with the same answer. As we multiply across our numerators, 7 times 2 equals 14, and across our denominators, 8 times 3 is 24. I'm going to simplify this fraction though before it's my final answer. 14 24ths. I know that these can both be divided by 2, so I get 7/12. 7/12 yards, and since it's area, I'm going to say yards squared. So area model is just one method. I encourage you to use the one that works best for you. If the algorithm is what makes more sense, it's okay to make that your go-to. But let's look at one more so that I can show how we might draw out a model. Let's use one of these to draw a model. How about this one here? Let's do 3/4 times 4/5. So both of these fractions are less than 1. So what I'm going to do is just start by drawing one square here. I'm going to label one side 3/4 and the other side 4/5. So I'm going to begin, hopefully that will focus. that button so it'll focus in there. I'm going to begin by dividing up my vertical direction into fourths. So I'm going to start by cutting it in half, then cutting each of those halves in half. Now I have I have 4 fourths here. I want to shade 3 of those fourths. So I'm just going to grab one color, shade 3 fourths. All right, now here's the tricky bit. It's almost like I'm pretending that this doesn't exist at all so that I can focus in on 4/5. Speaking of focusing, come on, document camera. There we go. All right, so let's divide this up into fifths. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces here. If I count down the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and I want 4 of those 5 rows shaded. So again, I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go horizontally now, and I'm going to shade 4/5. Now the space that overlaps, that has both the blue and the purple, is my area. That's my product. So I look in here, I might make it nice and bold with my pencil. I count how many pieces have both colors. That would be 12. 12 have both colors. Out of how many spaces altogether? 20. So 12/20ths can be simplified. I can divide numerator and denominator by 4s to get 3/5. 3/5 is our product here of 3/4 times 4/5.